This is my first update in a very, very long time. I just want to explain what has happened and gone on in the last almost 2 months. While I was in the shelter, my pancreas became severely inflamed and kind of went into a frenzy, and it was just releasing enzymes that it hasn't produced in 15 years, and my body was literally attacking itself. My condition is autoimmune, so when it starts and gets bad, it basically just starts digesting itself. It is the most painful thing I have ever experienced, including childbirth. I don't even know how to explain it other than it feels like somebody left a sword sitting in a fire and then proceeded to shove it through my abdomen just below my left rib and through my back. And I experienced that pain regularly for it went on for about 30 days. I was first sent to U of M hospital, where they evaluated me and unfortunately did not have room in the hospital for me at that time, so transferred me to St. Joseph Mercy in Chelsea, where I spent 12 days. After that, I was evaluated there, and I was given a couple of options. Option 1 was to literally remove my pancreas from my body. Doing this would tremendously reduce my lifespan. I was told that it was possible that I would live 3 to 5 years without my pancreas, because eventually your body will become aware that your organ is no longer there and will slowly begin to fail. Each organ will slowly begin to fail, and it is a very painful experience and sounded like the worst idea ever. But without the surgery, the pancreas was going to continue to be in a frenzy, and I wouldn't make it even 3 years. I would be lucky to make it a year. I was absolutely terrified. So I was transferred to U of M hospital for a couple of reasons. We made a decision not to remove my pancreas. Instead, you can see behind me, there is an IV pole and a pump attached to it. That is a feeding tube pump. I had a feeding tube placed in my stomach. It bypasses my stomach and goes down past my duodenum, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, and enters my small intestine. By having this feeding tube, it allows me to eat without alerting my pancreas that I am eating, so it doesn't begin to attempt to do any work. It would just remain calm. So they also found a blood infection in my body. That infection was attacking the metaport that was in my left side of my chest. You can see where they cut me open and took it out. I can't get that sticky stuff off. Anyway, the port was taken out and a new one was placed. Now, the new one is a little different and a little better. And it's called a power port, so it allows me to have blood draws and CAT scans without attempting to get an IV in my body. Unfortunately, because I experience so much pain on a regular basis, my veins tend to be very small, and if you attempt to put a needle in them, they collapse very quickly, which doesn't allow any fluid to enter them, and it becomes a giant ball of liquid in my arm and is excruciatingly painful because eventually the vein just bursts. So that is put in and has been used and is saving me a tremendous amount of pain. I'm very glad that it's there. After they put the new port in, they waited 3 days, and then they put in my feeding tube. I'm going to show it to you right now. It is bandaged up. You'll only see the tube and where it enters my stomach. So this is the tube, and this is what I use to feed myself. The middle tube right here allows food to go into my body, and this tube right here allows me to medicate myself. I'm not really supposed to take much by mouth. Even a pill can cause my pancreas to react. So my pills are crushed, mixed with water, and then used a syringe to put in this tube, and it goes directly into my small intestine where it is absorbed and actually works much faster than taking it by mouth and seems to last just as long. So for that, I'm grateful. This tube is never coming out. I will spend the rest of my life eating from that pump into this tube forever. I will not go to a restaurant and order out and eat, because if I do, I run the risk of my pancreas going into a frenzy again. Pain can literally kill a human being. If a person is in too much pain and isn't medicated for that pain, your organs will shut down and people die from being in too much pain. So, could I eat by mouth? Yes, I could. Should I? Absolutely not. It is a huge life-changing thing. Now, none of this would be possible without the attack that I received from Jamin Montgomery. Him kicking and punching and hitting me with things in my abdomen and my back is what caused my pancreas to start flaring up. And it never stopped. It just kept going. So the shelter saw me and called an ambulance and made me go to a hospital. Once I was in U of M, I received a phone call just about 10 minutes after I was admitted and put in my bed. My service animal that I have had for 4 years plus a little was hit by a car and killed. She was absolutely my best friend. She helped me all the time. I've fallen downstairs and she's literally pulled me up from laying on the ground. She's only 45 pounds. But she had pit bull and husky in her. And she was strong. And she pulled me up off the ground and back onto my feet. Otherwise, I would have been laying there for about 6 hours until someone came home to take care of me and help me. I didn't have a phone. I was just stuck there. When I was about to have a pancreatic attack, Addie knew before I did, and she would circle me and sit on my feet. I didn't know at first why she was doing that, but it became pretty clear that within 24 to 48 hours after her doing that, I was in an emergency room. I'm going to miss her more than I can even explain. It is like losing a child or a family member. I know a lot of people probably don't love their dogs that much, they're animals, but she was everything to me. And I'm going to miss her so much, and I love her so much. The person who hit her didn't stop. A very wonderful woman pulled off to the side of the road and took my dog out of the street and stayed with her until my mother could get to the dog. She also paid for Addie to be cremated for me because I was unable to see her after she passed. So I will be getting her ashes tomorrow, along with the rest of my possessions. I've been released from U of M Hospital. I will not release any more information about my current location, but I am in an assisted living home where I am receiving physical therapy and occupational therapy and learning how to live with this tube in my stomach and to care for myself so that I receive enough nutrients on a daily basis to get around. For the first few months, I have to be attached to this machine for 18 hours a day. I tried feeding at night, but because your body is trying to shut down and go to sleep, and at the same time, this machine is pumping food, nutrients, liquid into my intestines and causing them to work and digest that liquid, causes terrible problems with my sleep. I become very sweaty, and if you know what Restless Leg Syndrome is, I had similar symptoms, but it was all over my whole body. My shoulders, my arms, my neck, my back, my legs, everything would be spasming, and I would have to stretch and struggle to try and get them back into a normal, comfortable position. When I did finally get to sleep with the machine feeding me, for some reason I would have the most awful dreams. They were terrible. One day, while I was changing my dressing on my incision, I saw a lot of discharge from it, and it scared me. I thought maybe I had an infection. The doctor advised me to skip my night feeding and to see in the morning if the same amount of discharge was there, and that would give us an idea of what was causing it. They also drew blood to make sure there wasn't an infection and did a CAT scan as well. So without the machine, I slept perfectly fine. Only about 5 hours, but that's a lot for me. I slept great, so I knew that it was the tube feeding that was causing all of the problems with me sleeping. So now we have switched my feeding time to daytime, which means I'm stuck to that machine all day into the night. And once it's shut off, I can get about 5 hours of sleep, and then it's going to have to start back up again. That will continue for months. Eventually, we will be able to increase the volume of liquid going into my intestines to the point where I can only feed for 12 hours a day. I guess that gives me a little bit more time to be able to be active and move around. My life is not ever going to be the same. I am going to end this now because I think it's been long enough, and I just wanted you to know how I'm doing and what I've been through. And I am going to continue now that I am in a place where I can update you via video and posting on the internet exactly what is happening and what I have to do to get back on my feet. Being in a bed for 32 days has made my muscles go into atrophy, so it is very difficult for me to walk. It's like learning to walk all over again. I was a yoga instructor a long time ago for about 10 years, and I have no balance. I wobble like a 1-year-old learning to take their first steps. I'm going to get stronger, and I'm going to walk into that courtroom and put the man who did this to me in prison where he belongs. I hope you're watching, and I hope you understand, if you can understand with your mental condition, unmedicated, what you have done to me. I still pray that you get the help that you need and that you don't ever hurt yourself or anyone else again. But I don't have faith in that right now. I think that you need to go away and be away from society where you can't cause this kind of damage to another human being. I was lucky to survive, but my life will never be the same. I hope everyone who sees this has a great night. I'm going to do my best to sleep well tonight in an unfamiliar place with unfamiliar people and unfamiliar sounds and being in a very uncomfortable situation. I'm doing the best that I can. I'm fighting, and I will be back on my feet. And I'm going to show him just how strong I really am. Have a wonderful night.